Today I'm at one of my favorite spots again. Just came down to actually just enjoy the beautiful weather and the ocean. And on the drive over here, I started thinking about that elusive thing we call happiness. That I won't say we chase it, we seek it. But the question is, why is it so elusive? And I think I have a few ideas that I want to share with you on why I think that happiness for most of us seems so elusive. It's a warm day, but it's beautiful. So Warren here. One of the first things, in my opinion, actually, that I think in happiness being so elusive, I think is because we're waiting for a when. And I often say we should seek happiness while, right? Because we really don't know when is. And we often, again, in my opinion, set up our happiness in terms of vacations, these grand things that we have to do. And sometimes it's just easier, I think, if we just enjoy the moments, not to seem overly superficial and philosophical, but those simple moments. Why does it have to be this grand plan, this grand vacation? And look, those matter, but I think part of why happiness is so fleeting is because we're waiting for a when and not enjoying the while, that process, the middle, the messy middle, like I like to call it. For some reason, we don't want to have to deal with the messy middle part of our happiness. And interestingly enough, and ironically enough, it's unavoidable. Yep, there. I said it. The messy middle is unavoidable. But the messy middle is where we grow, though. I don't think avoiding it makes any sense, really, because sooner or later you have to face those everyday life requirements, challenges. So the messy middle is where we grow, and I don't try to avoid it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy, and those are the times in seeking our happiness, I think, where we get despondent and throw in the towel, per se, because it's how we're wired, though. We're not wired for pain as much as some of us can deal with that better than others. We're not wired for pain. And so we push back, we Heisman anything that infringes on our seeking happiness, and rightfully so. But I think negating being happier while trying to find ways to carve out ways to be happy while we're seeking what it is we have labeled as our happiness. And then that brings me to the when. There's some things that we can put schedules on because they just make sense. But the rest of life, why is it that we have to over complicate it schedule the heck out of it, overthink it, when often we can just simply carve out some times and enjoy it. Because I don't want it to be a dark episode, but I alluded to it earlier that we don't know when is. We can plan and have some when timelines, but in all honesty, we have no idea. Sadly, when can be this morning when you walked out, As harsh as that sounds, but with the things we have to schedule and should schedule, we should. But with the other things that we could just enjoy life on the whim and be a little bit happier instead of focusing on that when, why is it that we don't do that? And it's not everyone. Some people do, but we could argue what it is some people do for that, but that is not my prerogative. But I just, and this is from experience, because I used to think that every day had to be scheduled, every day had to be a plan, everything had to have a specific outcome. And when things didn't go as planned, like most people, I would throw my hands up and swear at the universe. But the Stoics and the philosophers, especially Albert Camus, would remind us, maybe aggressively, maybe gently, that the dichotomy of control, right? We can only control the things that which we have control over. And so I learned the hard way, but I learned. And I just stopped throwing up my hands on things that I had no control over. If other people had a say in it, then I've just lost some amount of control of that, and holding on to it just drives you nuts when things don't come out your way. So I've gently and continue to learn how to gently let go of that in pursuit of being just a little happier. And then I'll leave you with goals. I think it all comes full circle to the goals that we set, right? And again, back to our human condition, often we set very lofty ones, some unrealistic, and there's nothing wrong with being ambitious and reaching for the stars. I'm totally with that. It's necessary, but at what costs? At what cost to our happiness are we going to continue to pursue these lofty goals? Again, ambition matters, right? Find out what your niche is in life, and that's not going to happen necessarily right out of high school, right out of college necessarily, but sooner rather than later, right? We need to find out what our niche is so that we can make goals or set goals, reachable, realistic goals with realistic timelines. And even then, it's still not up to you. But I think part of why we are waiting for when with our happiness is because we haven't defined what that really is by setting goals. And I think that just gets us bent out of shape, spinning our wheels, wrapped around the axle, as we say in the army. You name it. But I think it's just because, and that goal setting it has to be meaningful to you, right? Because there's so many people who align their goals with Tom next door, Jane next door, because from the outside looking in, it looks like they're doing so well, and why are they meeting their goals, and their goals seem so much similar to mine, and whoa, it's me. All in not knowing what Tom and Jane are going through, because they make it look easy, again, from the outside looking in. While all you know, Jane and Tom might be looking at you because Jane and Tom doesn't have 2 kids. And Jane and Tom are looking at you wondering, how the heck do you hold it all together with 2 kids, a demanding job, soccer practice, band practice, homework, rants and raves, and here you are thinking you don't have it together while someone else is emulating you, So align your goals with that which makes you happy, that which makes sense to you. And then I would just say, watch the magic happen. Because life is tough, we know that. It's not going to get any easier. Well, I shouldn't say that. It can, but often, because it gets a vote, it doesn't, right? Because it often wins in its life elections. But I don't know, I just wanted to share that with you, that in our pursuit of being happier, don't wait for the when, right? Do it while. And that's while whatever, the trials and tribulations, Find that moment to be grateful and just be happy that you're here, that you woke up above ground, that you can sit, or at least I can sit and listen to the lapping waves and the birds and share the kualaus. That's the mountains in the backdrop with you, as much as they're in cloud cover, but I feel happier doing it. I feel happier getting out of the house and coming down to share this with you, and for me to breathe a little bit and to just be a little bit happier. So I hope this resonated with you, and I hope you find a way to not chase happiness necessarily, but just be happier with the process. All right? And until our next conversation, you be good out there. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk again soon. I'm just going to step out of your shot and let you enjoy. You can stay as long as you want. All right? We'll see ya. It's a pretty crab. You're pretty, buddy.